Hello, everybody. That's probably Red. Today we're going to be covering another tier list. Today, it's going to be 2-drop weapons and 2-drop fighters. So we're just going to get started. Let's go ahead with Bobby Brushbacks. I know I just adjusted that, but yeah, we're good. Okay, so level 2, that's what all these are going to be, and all these will be fighters. So what's the important part? And I just realized I haven't been doing rarities on these, but you know, Bobby Brushbacks is a survivor with 3 health, 1 attack cost, and 1 attack damage. He has the ability Determination. If he would die and he doesn't have a +1 attack counter, instead set him to 1 health and give him a +1 attack counter. He's from the Steeplechasers subfaction. He also can block for 1 token as a response by tapping him. I guess you could have said that. He has the response 1 tap to block. And Bobby Brushbacks is a common. Okay. So now they're all sorted out. We got Bobby Brushbacks. They were in order. I messed up the order. It doesn't matter. It's fine. But okay. It's basically like you're getting him to come back. So he's basically got that resilience. And since he can just be on the field and just take a hit from pretty much anything and survive, you're absorbing all that damage, making your opponent kind of waste their tokens because you're also spending a token to block, so that's kind of balanced out a little bit. But he comes back, so it's kind of like a very, very good block. And while he does have 3 health, which could be worse, but definitely could be better. Bobby Brushbacks being able to block and bypass any benign. I was trying to rhyme there, but yeah, he's good against damage. Oh man, it's a solid card here. It's a solid card. I think. I mean, and his attack goes from a 1 token to for 1 damage to 1 token for 2. Assuming you block pretty early, and then he can block again after he gets taken out. So that's another block. If you have like utility units that you want to save, he seems pretty good. I mean, it's only a 2 cost. I mean, comes out early, has good blocking power, sets up your field defensively. I'm thinking we're gonna start him out in B tier and kind of see. Let's go with our next one, Astuta, Signal Savant. She's also from the Steeplechasers, and Astuta has 3 health and similarly an attack cost of 1 with 1 attack damage. And other survivor fighters on your team get +1 attack. Okay, so that is amazing. It is really good if you're going like just for fighters. So or not just for fighters. If you're going like Survivor Tribal, which out of context sounds like I'm talking about it, the reality TV show. But no, if you're going for Survivor, Soul Survivor, okay. So Astuta's really good because she comes down early. Hopefully you played a level 1 or even a couple of level 1s, or you could have held them so they didn't get taken out on board and just played them for 0 on level 2 with Astuta to guarantee after you've played her. Of course, you want to be able to use as many actions as possible on turn 1. So you probably would have played them unless you had her in hand and drew into them. But Okay, so she seems very strong. But you want to have kind of a go wide strategy if you're going to do that. I I think it would need some testing to see, but it basically makes all of your attacks more efficient. So it just I can't see that going wrong. It's really hard to determine how good this kind of ability is. We might just put her in S, but let's start in A for now. Um Bobby Brushback seems more of like a utility unit, and she seems like she's kind of more of an aggressive, just clear the clear the opponent's board, get in as much damage, and go wide. Hopefully you've got enforcers. In fact, Bobby Brushback being a blocker benefits being beside Astuda. Um, yeah, good blocker. All right, next. I think that Astuda is excellent. Maybe I'm overrating her, but I don't think so. Her attack leaves something to be desired, but you can use those tokens to attack with your now enhanced fighters and keeping her on the board by blocking benevolently. Benevolently. There we go. Okay, I got to quit trying to rhyme with Bobby Brushbacks. It's definitely given me the like classic Stan Lee, I think is who did definitely Stan Lee. He did the names that had consonants at the beginning of the name. Yeah. Okay, so now we got Chirp. Chirp. All right, and Chirp is a level 2. They're all level 2, but 2 health, 2 attack cost, 2 attack. Little bit faster damage than our other fighters, except for Bobby Brushbacks after being, determined. And she's from the Heralds, which you'd think she kind of looks like she's got the whole hockey or football or boxing thing going on. A couple different sports here, but she's from Heralds, all right? So you can pay 2, tap, and put 2+1 attack counters on target survivor fighter. So while Astuda just gives it to everybody as long as she's in play, Chirp, you have to pay for it, take an action, and then even if Chirp is gone, the tokens presumably stay unless they were on Chirp. So it's kind of a different approach. Having both, I mean, why not? If you have the defenses up and you start playing these support, like, they're not really support units, they're like buff units. They buff your other stuff up. If you start doing that, then you're going to have some really impressive attacks, especially if you have those lower token cost attacks. So far, we're seeing like 1 token attack cost, 2 token attack cost. If you can buff these up to like 3, 4, even 5 damage, it can get crazy. Okay, so where do we put Chirp? She's kind of a glass cannon with her ability. She doesn't really want to put her +1 attack counters on herself. I'm thinking top of B tier. It's hard to say. I like that Astuda just gives a flat-out bonus to everybody, but you have to keep her alive for her to continue to do something. Same goes for Chirp until you get those +1 attack tokens placed, but you are investing a lot of tokens. Okay, so in closing my page out on accident, I realized that the weapons just don't show up when you have it sorted fighter weapon level 2. I don't know why. I'm not in website design. It's not my thing. But we're going to go ahead, and before we get into the the shifters, we're going to talk about the 3 level 2 weapons. I'm pretty sure there's only 3. But we're going to talk about those, and then we'll get on to Burgess Beneath. All right. Burgess. Nope. Mayhem Fist, level 2. Okay. So it's a weapon. It's got a wield cost of 2, and it gives plus X attack. Okay. So it enters wielded, as all weapons do, and the wielder gets +1 attack for each survivor fighter on your team. And it increases the wielder's attack cost by 1. Kind of the opposite of what we want to do here, and I think that really costs this weapon some of its benefit. I think it might be a necessary evil, but now I haven't played a lot. But from what I've seen, at least the way that we've been playing it, we just end up killing everybody's fighters so they don't kill our other fighters or kill our boss, and then we're stuck top decking. This just, I mean, I guess if you just have a bunch of tokens, it doesn't matter. You're still getting at least +1 because you have to have something to attach it to. But really, I just, oh, and you know what? Okay, so when we did it, we only uploaded the images from this list, but it's fixed. Okay, so, I think it's hard to, like, say this is absolutely useless. There's going to be some situations where this is just amazing. The increasing of the attack cost is pretty bad. I'm thinking I want to put it in F tier, like make it good, like try to make this card strong, Mayhem Fist. I think we're gonna keep it at, I'm putting it in F tier. I'm sorry, everybody. It's going in F tier. It's just not there for me. It's not quite there for me. But next, so that was Mayhem Fist. Merc God Pendant. All right. So this is a shifter weapon, and it's level 2, like these all are. And similarly, as to all weapons, it comes wielded to, a fighter automatically. This one has a wield cost of 0. That sounds crazy, but +0 attack. So what is it doing here? The wielder gains 2 tokens to transform. You don't have to tap. You just pay 2 tokens and transform. So what are you going to do? You're going to destroy this fighter and reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a fighter with that level or lower than the transform fighter with a different name and put it into play. Wow. Okay. So what kind of vibes does this give me? First of all, Merc God Pendant. You're going to want to, like, kind of pick a level to go with. This is a super build around kind of thing. Like, this, you've got to build around the Merc God Pendant. You're going to want to kind of pick a level because you want it to stay at the same level. But, I mean, I guess you can go higher with a few cards. Doesn't matter. You're going to want some enter the battlefield effects, or you're going to want the ability to block so you can kind of pick your lowest health units to transform. So you're letting them take damage by being enforcers or by being blockers. Then suddenly, poof, they're gone with Merc God Pendant. And it's kind of an onboard trick, but the surprise factor is whatever you flip into. And if you have, like, around level 3, level 4, that's kind of where you're focused around, you should be able to have some decent value. So especially in shifter, we need to look at kind of what value we have entering in. Like, do we have enough enters effects to make Merc God Pendant pretty sick? I'm going to cautiously just plop this in S tier. It gives me, there's a card in Magic. Oh, what is it called? Okay, I found it. It's Skull Clamp. I did not realize that it was in Marvel Superhero Commander. But yeah, it kind of gives me Skull Clamp vibes. But it has an equip cost of 0, where you're paying your cost is the 2 to transform it. And it's killing these creatures and letting you draw a bunch of cards. Theoretically, I mean, it's just 1, but if you have an ETB that draws you a card, and it seems, I don't know about it being about death triggers, it's more about enter the battlefield triggers. That's how it's going to be good. And is that Galactus? No, it's MODOK. He kind of gets like, this is a weird. Anyways, back to it. I think that this is easily an S tier. We're gonna see. It's a kind of it's very much a build around. Ooh, that's a good point. We totally whiffed it on what are these tiers. Well, I guess I can say go back and watch the previous videos, but we really got pretty far into here before we mentioned what the tiers mean. But we're going to go ahead and mention them real quick. Little tier intermission here. S, must include in any deck that can run it. Okay, so I guess you could say you can't really run it if it's not good, but it must go in there. I think it's going to go A tier because of that. I forgot how I do my tiers. Now, these are how I see my tiers. Which, anyways. A, solid and archetype defining. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's solid and it would define its archetype pretty well. Yeah. And I think that goes for Astuta as well. And then B, good enough to be competitive. C tier, might have 1 or 2 niche decks that it goes in, but otherwise unseen. D is okay. But the format has no spot for it. And F, the garbage. You wouldn't want these in your deck, but it would be fun to try and break them somehow and make them into a C or a D. And of course, the dream is to turn an F into an S tier. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can go back to what we were talking about. We're going on to our next equipment here, which is the Whiskers of the Ancient. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and read this real quick, but I already got some thoughts on this. So it's level 2, wield cost of 2, plus X, mystic weapon, enters wielded. When the wielder attacks, it becomes the faction of your choice for the rest of the level. Okay. The wielder gets +1 attack for each faction among your boss and fighters. So basically, wield cost 2 +3 attack if you're going dual faction. I don't know. That just might be good enough. This is more like a pack battle thing where you can get like that +4, and when the full set releases after Founders Edition, +5 seems really strong. Unless you have other cards that can add even more factions to your pool, I just don't see this being strong enough for constructed unless that +3 is just good enough. I'm going to put it in C and we'll see where it goes. I can't see it being terrible. I think it's better than the Mayhem Fist, like just baseline. And I guess you could get this up to there, but this just kind of, if you're running 2 factions, this always is there as long as you have a, well, now I think about it. It is kind of like the Mayhem Fist, but without reducing, without increasing your cost. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to put it in D tier. I think it's okay, but I don't think there's going to be a spot for it in the format. And that was our final weapon. I'm pretty sure that's all the weapons. But yeah, we got a nice spread on the weapons here. Also, I put it right here. All right, so next, finally, we get to Burgess Abor Beneath. So, what does he do? Okay, so Burgess is a vanilla. Level 2. He's got 4 health though, which that kind of reveals something deeper than just the baseline vanilla that we have going on here. Which I guess that's still just stats, but where you get the real complexity is your attack costs and attack combinations. It's an attack cost of 1, attack damage of 1. I think this is playable for now, but I think it's going to just be outclassed by other cards eventually. I'm going to throw it in D tier. It might be like a C list. It might have a couple of decks. You're just like, oh, I need another fighter from the Shifter faction to run, and the extra health is needed. So, I mean, I'll put it on the top of D tier. It's pretty close. But just on stats, I mean, it's fine. It's got really high health. Yeah. But the attack's just okay. That's fine. I think I'm putting him in C, just cautiously. I think he's just barely there. Oof. Nah. Sorry, Burgess. We'll see how he goes. So Coney Tooth Fighter, he's from the Waddle. He's also a shifter. Main faction shifter. 2 health, 2 attack costs, 1 attack damage. Coney has armor 1, and when Coney enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. If a fighter was discarded this way, put a +1 attack counter on Coney. So, seems pretty bad just on stats, kind of the opposite of Burgess in that department, for the most part. But it gives you a little bit of discard synergy, card selection, gives you an incentive to get fighters in your discard pile for whatever that's worth. If there's any synergies there, I can't think of off the top of my head. But +1 attack counter synergy, actually just increasing his damage output. That armor 1 definitely increases his survivability in the early game against these lower attacking units. You might be able to survive 1 or 2 hits and be fine. It basically gives him 3 health. Realistically, there's some situations where it does, that does a little bit more than that, but for the most part, it's going to be like having 3 health. Yeah. So, I'm trying to think here. If you have duplicates, Coney helps you filter through those. So you can run a bunch of duplicate units, excluding Gizzard, that you normally wouldn't be able to play until one of your units died. This way you can run those play sets for consistency and be good to go. So that's a benefit. I think he's got a lot going on there. I like the card filtering and the discard activation. I think in the discard deck, you'll definitely see some play. Getting you to your other cards. I mean, I'm not super sure. And his attack does improve once. 2 attack cost, deals 2 damage. I mean, that seems pretty good. We'll keep him in C for now. I'm not super blown away, but they've got a lot of abilities there. It's 2 abilities, but it's kind of a multifaceted second ability. Let's move on to Goodstead. So Goodstead Sandhog, let's see what he's got going on there. He's a level 2 shifter from the Shambles. And Goodstead's got 3 health with 1 attack cost and 1 attack. Whenever a fighter dies, put a +1 attack counter on Goodstead. Oof. Okay, so I don't like the 3 health on this because it's meant to be later in the game where this matters. But honestly, all things considered, I think that in the right deck, if you can defend Goodstead, then it can get pretty large and get a good attack in. think it's honestly right above Coney, but it feels like it's a pretty important thing to protect. So, yeah. It's hard to say. Like, it becomes a priority to take that thing out. And when they make it a priority, it's not going to be that hard to kill. Whereas Coney, just by comparison, kind of just, it wants its enter the battlefield effect. It's got an okay attack. Goodstead's like has no defensive abilities. It's just there and it becomes a target. And kind of low removal cost to get him out, like before your opponent can really build him up. So I'm thinking, honestly, yeah, C, but there's a high potential there. All right, let's go to Farn. Battle Ready. Okay, so Farn Battle Ready is from the Shambles. She's got 2 health, 1 attack cost, and 1 attack. Okay, so pretty not great stats here. But when Fern enters, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a tactic or response with cost 3 or lower and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in a random order. If you don't, put a +1 attack counter on Fern. So, you're either getting your +1 attack counter, you're getting to throw a bunch of cards on the bottom, like filter through, try to get to some, I guess in this case, non-tactic, non-responses if you're throwing them all on the bottom. But from that pool of cards that you're looking at, that card selection, you're getting, and essentially it's kind of card advantage because you still get stuck with a 2 health, 1 attack cost, 1 attack body. And after that, you get to draw a card, essentially, being the tactic or response. I think this is great. I think this is going to go in a lot of stuff with pretty low build around cost. I think it sits right here, just below the Merc God Pendant. I think Merc God Pendant's just a little bit better. But I think it's good. I think that's solid. Like, just it kind of replaces itself, gives you something on board. Could be a potential kind of like a glass cannon, 1 damage, 2, like 1 cost, 2 attack damage, and you just got closer to your other fighters. Yeah. Got some, yeah. Okay, what's going on with the Vermingus with the violin? I think it might be a cello, actually. I'm not super musically savvy, but that seems a little big for a violin. But maybe he's kind of a small dude. Is he like a rat or a cat? I don't know. He's level 2 though, and he's a brutal busker. I don't know what a busker is either. I'm learning new vocabulary here. Let me go find out real quick what the heck a busker is. Okay, I found out what a busker is. So it's like a street performer that takes voluntary donations after their performances, according to Google. I mean, okay, so he's a brutal busker. Anyways, so 2 health, 1 attack cost, 1 attack from the Shambles sub-faction. And whenever a fighter enters play from your deck, Vermingus gets a +1 attack counter and 1 health. Gains. Still don't know if there's a difference between gains and healing, because both are existent. I think it might be like losing life and taking damage, but in reverse, if you know what I mean. Vermingus also has 2 tokens, tap. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a fighter that could be played this level, it enters play if it's not already on your team. Otherwise, put it into your hand. Ooh. Okay. So it kind of fuels its own ability. It starts out quite delicate. If you've got other stuff, which I'm thinking maybe synth, maybe like Survivor, I don't know. There's there's probably some synergies with other factions that might make this a little bit better, a little bit more accelerated. We'll have to look into it. But as it stands, he fuels his own ability. You're spending your tokens, buffing up your Vermingus, health-wise too. If he can't go over 2 health, that makes this first ability significantly worse. It does say gains, though. Like, I mean, gains is not the same as healed. I think I really need to find out if there's a difference between those two things, but I'm thinking gains means he goes to 3 health, and it becomes potentially a new maximum, or maybe there's rules for temporary HP. I'm a little bit confused on that. Let me know in the comments below if you know if there's a difference between gains and healing. All right. So, yeah, this is giving you some real card advantage here. If it can survive. Once again, I mean, we keep seeing stuff that wants protection from block and wants protection from, like, with enforcers. You want these things. This card just seems amazing if you can get it to go off. Now, would you want it in every deck that could run it? Every shifter deck possible? That's a pretty good question. So, I can't see not wanting to run this. I mean, either it's a huge target that hopefully you're protecting, or it just runs away with the game. Now, you want some stuff being able to, like, I mean, obviously you want your deck full of stuff, especially early level stuff. And you kind of got to get lucky with the top card of your deck to have any effect. But, you know what? I'm putting it an 8 here. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's a little bit, like, I think it's a little bit worse than the Merc God Pendant. I think I'm just, not every deck though, right? Almost. Honestly, I'm thinking Vermingus is kind of like here, but it's got a lot of potential. I think it's going to get ran, and I think it's going to be good. Yeah. Honestly, I think like right here. Yeah. All right, so let's see our next card, Detta Quickener. All right, so she's level 2. She's got 3 health, 1 attack cost, 1 attack. She's from the Odds sub-faction. By the way, this is a Mystic Fighter. When she becomes Phantasmal, target fighter on your team gains 2 health. Okay, and you can pay 1 token Phantasmal. If she isn't Phantasmal, put a +1 attack counter on her, and she becomes Phantasmal. Okay, so essentially you get that extra token in there, and after the first time you attack, it kind of goes from a 2 attack for 2 into a 1 attack for 2. And I would say as early as you can, try to do that. Get that healing in. And then even if they do take out Detta, she's already kind of provided some healing, counterbalancing the damage already on your team. And maybe the healing makes them want to invest in taking out a target that they thought they were going to take out before, but realized they did not. You could play this at the right time where you make sure your unit survives. And even Detta survives to where you can play her, heal something. They can't kill it with their final attacker there. They can't kill Detta. You can become Phantasmal, and then maybe you got a token or 2 left to attack with. I mean, that's going to be kind of a little bit of a Christmas land situation. But I think Detta has got just enough there to make her a really solid card. I think that if cards like Stay Hydrated, I mean, I know that's response speed, but if that kind of like healing effect is good, which that's different, but like if healing effects do end up being good, I think she's going to be solid. And even if not, just tacking it onto an already decent unit with that +1 attack synergy, I think it's going to be a role player. I think it's going to be strong. I think it's going to be better than the C tier. I think it's going into B. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's see. We're on to Diffin Slow Hand. So this is a Mystic Fighter from the Odd sub-faction. 3 health, 2 attack cost, and 4 attack. Wow. Diffin can't attack unless you have a fighter with 5 or more health on your team. Response, 1 tap block. Okay. So even though they have such a good attack value, you need to run this with some high health units. And I think the best bet is going to be running him in a Mystic Synth deck that just has a lot of fortify. You're not going to be fortifying him, but he's going to be just a solid early play. Maybe it takes a hit or two. Or even a late game play that comes in, is able to block where he needs to, and just swings in for a pretty good quick damage ratio for 2 tokens. I think that he's niche, but I think that he is clutch. I'm going to put him in the top of C tier. I think he's just a little bit stronger than old Goodstead there. It just seems like the build around, even like, I mean, just not being able to attack is pretty bad. But he's got block, and you don't have to build around it too much to have an opportunity for him to get in for damage. And realistically, if he gets in one time, he's kind of paid for himself. It's going to take out some stuff. Now, let's see. We got Ebb, Balancer of Scales. Okay. So Ebb, Balancer of Scales is a 3 health, 1 attack. Oh, by the way, Mystic Odds faction. 1 attack, 1 attack cost, 1 plus attack damage. Okay. When they enter, you may add a counter to a boss or fighter on your team of a type it already has, or remove a counter from target boss or fighter on your team. Okay, Ebb gets +1 attack as long as a boss or fighter on your team has a counter on it. This is a very complicated card here. And it's interestingly a defensive measure against -1 attack counters and presumably other type of counters. And a synergy piece with your own +1 attack counters, and also maybe other types of counters, So it kind of works against your opponent's -1s, and it works with your +1s. Noticeably, you're going to want to remove the token, but if you don't, he can get that +1 attack. Or if you have multiple instances of -1 attack counters, you can remove one, and you still have one, and he gets that +1 attack. So in that way, he's kind of a sideboard piece. But if you're just running the +1 attack synergy, this giving another +1 attack makes him pretty decent. Comparing him to the level 1 fighter, there's a level 1 survivor fighter that does something similar. That is not what I don't know what Google was thinking there. How do I? Wow. Okay. There's no open in another. Let's just do it this way. Okay. So we need level 1. There it is. So comparing this to Turner Strap Hanger, it's a level 2. You kind of, they work together pretty well, but he himself gets a stronger attack. I think they're comparable cards, and I think she made C tier. I'm starting to feel that Turner is kind of like, but maybe top, or bottom of B tier. I think we're just going to put him on top of C. Yeah. He's a little bit situational, a little bit niche, but he's got some stuff going on. He feels like he does a lot less than his tech spec might like seem to tell you at the beginning. You just kind of look at it, you're like, holy crap, this guy's doing all kinds of stuff. It's not that much. Yeah. I mean, it's basically Turner with extra steps and a little bit better stats, but maybe not warranted by a whole extra level, but I don't know. The extra health is nice. Does give him some survivability. All right, let's go to Gates. Supportive Sensei. 2 health with 1 attack cost, 1 attack damage. When Gates enters, another boss or fighter gets +2 attack this level. After talking about all ebb balancers scales, I mean, at the same time, I think if you consider stuff like we just saw that card. Where is it at? Like Vermingus. Like if you're just having, or not Vermingus, the I mean, yes, Vermingus, because you're flipping cards, but I mean the weapon, the Merc God Pendant. Like if you're just like transforming level 2s and getting ETBs and buffing stuff up with the pendant, this is just nice to have in there. I think it's just gonna be kind of like C tier. But I mean, it's nice to just suddenly have an extra 2 attack and add that efficiency. I feel like since he's a little bit simpler, but kind of more efficient, I think that he goes like right here. He just like, you have to have other stuff on your level 2 for the +1 attack counter guy to do anything, but it is permanent once it happens. But Gates can be a nice surprise. I think these cards are kind of just dueling for the higher C position here. Maybe I'm overestimating Gates and underestimating Ebb, but I think this is good. Now, I am quite fond of Nap, Forge Master. So, Odds Mystic, or Mystic Odds. 2 health, 1 attack cost, 1 attack. Not great on the stats department, but at response speed, you can pay 2 tokens and tap Nap to unwield target weapon from a fighter. If it's your weapon, draw a card. Okay. So this is something that can be really effective against somebody who's running weaponry. But you want to build this in a deck that runs weapons to make sure you're taking advantage of, the opportunity. Like, you can just draw cards just by paying 2 tokens. This is crazy. If you can defend this in any way, it's a super efficient draw engine. It's going to be built around you, but I think it's on par with the Merc God Pendant. I don't know which one's better, but if you get 1 weapon out, you could just keep. Now, if you have it with the Merc God Pendant, you can keep wielding, and instead of transforming stuff, you can just draw cards. That's crazy. They're pretty similar cards, actually, but this is, the Merc God Pendant feels easier to protect, whereas Nap kind of is a delicate. But you could run both in the same deck. They might have a bit of anti-synergy because you're like, do I want to transform for 2, or do I want to just remove or unwield it and draw a card? And I'm not sure on the answer to that. And you are running 2 factions already, so. All right, so now Miss Me. This is going to be a 3 health Mystic Fighter from the Incarnate sub-faction, and Missed Me has 1 attack cost with 1 attack damage, and they've got Stealthy. It can't be attacked the level it enters play. Okay, so it kind of saves itself from being taken out immediately. And then it's got Phantasmal, 1 token to give it a +1 attack counter if it isn't already Phantasmal. And then after doing so, it becomes phantasmal. All right, so basically it's like a stealth unit that protects itself, lets itself power up, and then swings for a 1 token 2 attack damage. But the first attack, as Phantasmal does, would be 2 attack cost for 2 attack damage. And I think this is just like a nice, solid hitter. I think it's it's different than Data. It's not actually like gaining you any health, but he's saving, or it's saving itself. So you can power it up how you want. You can equip it with, or you can wield a bunch of weapons to it. You can get it all powerful and then swing in for that 1 attack cost. I think it might just be a little bit better than Deta. All right, so our last faction here, we're talking about the synths. We're going to start with an Endling here, Ada, Relict Fighter. 3 health and 1 attack cost with 1+ attack. Ada gets +1 attack for each enhanced boss and fighter on your team. And a quick reminder, to be enhanced, it has to have a +1 attack counter, fortified, or fortification, however you want to say it, or wielding a weapon. So this can get crazy. I think it's kind of similar in the way that, like, the it's kind of giving me Mayhem Fist vibes in that regard, but with a little bit more setup. But yeah, let's see what else. In response, you can pay 2 tokens and fortify. This ability can be used from your hand on a synth that isn't fortified. Now, I'm assuming this means it can't be used from the field, because it says this ability can be used from your hand. Okay, so place this card under a synth boss or fighter on your team. That synth gains health equal to gains health equal to this fighter's health. So when we're seeing gains versus healed, I'm thinking, once again, this is solidifying my thought process on this, that gains means that you just go past your maximum health. There's no world in which fortified doesn't increase your max health, at least in my mind. So gains equals past max health. That's what I'm assuming. Don't take it for gospel, just what my assumption is here. Okay, this seems like a really solid, versatile unit. If you just don't have enough fortified stuff or enhanced bosses and fighters on your team, boom, ba-blam, bang, you throw this fortified onto something to give it a little bit of a health edge. Hopefully your deck synergizes with that, or at the very least just generally synergizing with enhanced stuff. Yeah, I think this is great. I think if it was just the first ability, it would have like the Mayhem Fist problem. But having options here, even if the baseline isn't super great, it's not super terrible. It's definitely not going to go in every deck. And I think it's just going to be like maybe right here. There's a lot of A tier 2-drops here. I think it's good. Next up, we've got Ana, or Ana, Demodulator. Ana. Okay. So, this is a synth, and from the Defaced subfaction. Attack cost 1, attack damage 1. Bosses or fighters that deal attack damage to Ana become stunned. They do not unstun the following level. Okay, that's kind of a lot to unpack there. Let's keep going. 2 tokens and tap stun target fighter. And then in parentheses it says stun fighters can't tap or activate abilities this level. So I remember asking, now I didn't get a clear answer from what I remember. I gotta probably, that they do not unstun the following level. Does that include if Ana is removed from play? And I think that they still don't unstun even if Ana is removed from the board. Yeah, so bosses or fighters that deal attack damage to Ana become stunned, and continuing that stun effect, they do not unstun the following level. Yeah, easy as that. Now, the two and then tap, 2 tokens and tap, stun target fighter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're not gonna. They'll untap next turn, or they'll unstun next turn. So, and it's not a response ability, but if you use it early enough, they're just not going to be doing anything that round. This unit is quite complex, and it's kind of a defensive ability. But like, if they waste their attack going after Ana, then it kind of just makes them not be able to do anything the turn after. So they're going to want to wait on that. Meanwhile, she's choosing to stun something every round if she wasn't able to take it out with her attack damage. She's, honestly, pretty solid piece here. I think it's just maybe like right here, just behind Bobby Brushbacks. I think Bobby Brushbacks is doing a little bit more defensively. Maybe I'm underestimating Ana. Okay, let's check out Father Annihilator. 2 health, 1 attack, 1 attack damage from the Joneses subfaction. He can wield weapons for no cost. Okay, so we've seen, doesn't really help with some of the level 2 weapons here. Maybe with the Whiskers of the Ancients. All right. But it's always good to have in a weapon synergistic deck. You're saving tokens. That 2 health is kind of a problem. Let's see what else he's got. Response, 2 tokens and destroy this. 2, return target weapon from your discard pile to play wielded to target fighter on your team. I think it's good for something that is, making itself a target, to have the ability to just basically response speed sack itself and have a solid effect. You're saving tokens. You're spending 2, so you gotta be equipping something higher than that. But outside of that, that seems really good. I think that overall it's a delicate but solid piece of tech for a weapons-based synth deck. I think it can't be anything lower than B tier. And honestly, I think I'll put it right there. Now, on a similar vein, another Joneses here. We've got Motrina, Step Monster. And they've got 3 health, 1 attack cost, 1 attack damage, and they are from the Joneses subfaction. When Motrina enters, wield up to 1 of your weapons to target fighter on your team. So instead of when getting, paying 2 extra tokens and sacking to get 1 from discard pile, you just get 1 that's on your board when she enters the board. Okay. Then after you've done that, later on you need to wield another weapon. You can pay 1, tap, wield 1 of your weapons, and play to target fighter on your team. So she can come in and equip a weapon. She's got 1 extra health. Maybe Annihilator is kind of just excessive. Maybe you won't need to equip more than 1 weapon, but you can get a lot of token advantage by doing that. Similarly, if you have 2 equip cost weapons and you're willing to just continually use her action, then I just can't see her being, a stronger card in this case. Still think it's in a weapon dedicated deck. I think it's pretty solid. I'm not super sure, but I just feel this feels like it would be more effective for the weapon synergy deck. And if you're willing to spend the 2 tokens, they're competing for the same role, but they both would go in a deck that's focused on weapons, and you still need some kind of cheap attack cost units to play. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got Pro X or Prox, and they are from the Marquise sub-faction. They've got 3 health, 0 attack cost, 1 attack damage, and tap to gain a token. This is a interesting fighter. So you're kind of just, the 3 health is nice. It just seems good. It just seems like a solid role player. And I know I was a bit harsh on Skell here. And just kind of comparing them. You get an extra health and you get the ability to generate a token every turn, which I think that's a pretty big buff. I think I gave Skell like a high D or a low C. I think that as far as the 2 drops go, I think Prox is definitely B tier. Maybe kind of, the generating of the tokens is really what we're trying to weigh on this. And just being a turn early to some of these higher tactics and responses. Now, we can't do that as a response. You have to do that early in the turn to have access to it. You're spending your action, which is kind of making me think it sits at the bottom of B tier. We'll see how it goes. He might just be clutch and something that you need in every deck, but we'll see. All right, and then we've got another 0 attack cost unit from the synth, the Marquise. Quarters is a 2 health, 0 attack, 2 damage. Vanilla synth. Okay. This is basically a level 2 version of Skell with twice as much attack and the same health. Kind of a glass cannon, but just that is some attack efficiency. I think that it's hard to say. I think that Quarters is just behind Prox. Prox is more of the utility unit, and Quarters is kind of an efficient attacker that just gets taken out as soon as your opponent gets a chance. If you got protection, it adds some much-needed damage to your board very quickly. In early game, you just swing it in, and it won't get in the way of your... I actually think this is kind of like maybe like right... honestly... Yeah, like right here. Right here. Ooh, yeah, right there. Quarters is right there. All right, so we got our last card up here, and I just closed both pages. Okay, so we've got Spot, and Spot's from the Joneses. It's Spot, Weapon Hound, 2 health synth fighter, attack cost of 2, and an attack damage of 2. When Spot enters, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and you can reveal a weapon and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in a random order, and if you don't, put a +1 attack counter on Spot. I think Spot fills an extremely similar role to Fjern, and I think that, because I feel like responses and tactics are a bit better than weapons, but if you're building a weapon-based deck, then a weapon is better, probably. I mean, definitely than a response or tactic. I think the real kicker is, it's kind of hard because one attack costs for 2 damage, but then you're not getting the. These are very similar cards, and I think they're in a similar spot. I feel like because of how important Spot's going to be in a weapon-based deck, he's going to be a little bit more desired as a card. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's tier list. This is kind of a final look here, what we've got going on. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I think this is our first F tier. Obviously, this is subject to my opinion. If you got a favorite card here that made it in the cold colors here, then let me know in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong. And similarly, if you've played with or tried to make one of these work in the higher warm color tiers here, then let me know why those didn't work for you. Either way, have a great day and talk to you soon. Bye.